Hey, welcome back once again, Knicks fans. Just wanted to do a quick review for tomorrow's game. The Knicks are going to be playing the Detroit Pistons Sunday afternoon. I think it's 3:30. It's the tip-off time, and just wanted to go through both team stats just to kind of get an idea of who the Knicks are matching up against. Are they a better team than we are? Are they a worse team? How do we evaluate it? And also how did the team perform against the Detroit Pistons in previous head-to-head matchups? We've already played Detroit twice this year so far, and so we're going to take a look at that to see how the head-to-head matchups are. And then after that, we're going to basically take a nice look at basically how both teams ranks amongst the rest of the league using the PIE, the player uh, efficiency or player impact estimate. We're basically going to use it to evaluate the teams, and then also I'm using the player impact estimate with the defensive factor. Also to evaluate the teams and see how they stack up against the rest of the league, and then also to use it to see how they stack up against each other as well, so we can get a pretty good idea of who's supposed to win this game come tomorrow. Now, these are basically just statistics and estimates, and we're doing analysis on it. And given what the past performance of these two teams are, it should help us get a pretty good idea of what should happen tomorrow. But these are humans, and humans are very unpredictable. And even let's say if I feel like the Knicks are supposed to win tomorrow, the Detroit can come out and just blow our doors off, and we can get blown out by 30 points. But nonetheless, doesn't mean that we can't actually see what's happened in the past and take a look at like what it means, how both teams stack up against each other, and still try to see if we can make an evaluation or make a prediction, I guess. And so right now, let's look at the head-to-head matchups. The Knicks stats are on top. The Detroit Pistons are on the bottom. And we've already played two times this year so far. The Knicks are 2-0 versus the Detroit Pistons. And we're averaging 99.5 points against us. They average 88 points against us. So we've been, on average, we're beating them by double digits, 11.5 points. On average, we basically we make more field goals than they do, although we take less field goals. And so they play at a faster pace than we do. And but we're making more field goals, so we're more efficient. So our efficiency is not that great. We're 42% versus the Pistons, but they're just a really bad offensive team themselves, especially against us. They're shooting 36.6% against the New York Knicks. The three-point shot, really not going to go into it. It's not really an impact in this with these two teams in this matchup. So we're going to go to the free throws. Because the Knicks have become a better free throw team, it's really helping them a lot. They tend to attempt more free throws than the opponents. They're very aggressive going to the basket, and so that really helps them. Those are basically extra points for the Knicks, right? And so, as you see here, we do average more free throw attempts than they do, and we average more makes than they do. And then the other thing with the Knicks too is the Knicks are really strong on the boards, not just defensive rebounding, but also offensive rebounding. That's how we've been winning a lot of the games recently. Because the last three games we've won, the teams we have actually played against have actually shot better than we have from the field. That's really interesting, right? It's like, I don't know the last time that's happened with the team where they've been less efficient than the opponent, but they've still won, especially 3 games in a row. So it'll be interesting to look into that. However, one of the reasons that's happening for the Knicks is because we're a very good rebounding team, especially on the offensive glass. It's really difficult to keep the Knicks off the glass. And also because we're really fast, we tend to turn over teams a lot more. So we get a pretty decent amount of steals as well. And also we do force them into, the opponent into turnovers as well. And so as you see here, we've been out rebounding them by 3 points on the offensive, by 3 rebounds on the offensive rebounds. We're getting 3 more offensive rebounds than they get, 1.5 more defensive rebounds than they get. Overall, we average about 4.5 to 5 more rebounds than they get as well. So that's pretty much what the head-to-head matchup. It's with this head-to-head matchup where we are a better team. It's clearly statistically we're supposed to be a better team. We've beaten them twice in the past before. But let's take a look at the PIE for both teams, and to see where they rank amongst the rest of the league, and also the PIE with a defensive factor to also see how they stack up against the rest of the league. And so, as we let's zoom in here a little more, and over on the left, this is basically the rankings on the left is basically the teams. We have the PIE, and then we have the win percentage. And then on the right, we have the teams, the PIE with a defensive factor, and also the win percentage. And so the reason why we're doing this while we're including the win percentage was because I wanted to make sure that basically this PIE is, the player impact estimate is meaningful, right? We can't just be adding up numbers and it doesn't mean anything, right? And so how do we know that these numbers actually have meaning? What thing we can do is basically we can see if there's a relationship between the PIE and a team's win percentage. And so this is kind of like a cross-sectional. So basically we gathered data for all the teams in the league, their PIE and also their win percentage. And then we're testing it to see if there's a relationship between the PIE and the team's win percentage. And of course, as you see, as the team's PIE goes down, the win percentage decreases as well. It's not perfect, but it's pretty much that's pretty much what happens. As the PIE increases, the team's win percentage increases. So if you notice here, Detroit Pistons are at the bottom, 2.82% in terms of PIE, and their win percentage is about 26%. And so it looks like they are the worst in the league, and they do have the worst win percentage in the league, right? And so the same thing over here with the PIE with the defensive factor. If you look here, they're the worst in the league at minus 20.37, and they have the worst win percentage in the league, right? And so they're clearly the worst offensive team and one of the worst defensive teams in the league as well. And so that's pretty much what we have with that. That's why we basically we gather all this data, and that's why I'm gathering not just the PIE but also the win percentage, because we want to show that it actually means something. That we're not just picking numbers out of the thin blue sky and then using it to rank teams or even to rank players. And so, like I said before, Detroit Pistons are at the bottom of the league. The Knicks, the PIE, they are ranked 26. That's not much better than the Pistons. But however, if you look at the PIE with the defensive factors, that's basically the list to the right. You can clearly see that the New York Knicks does have a better defense than the Detroit Pistons, because as when you include the defensive factor with the PIE, as you see, the Knicks, their ranking amongst the 30 teams, that they actually move up 4 spots. They move up to number 22 as far as basically the ranking. And so, according to this here, according to this here, the New York Knicks are clearly a better team than the Detroit Pistons. And so that said, we should be able to win this game tomorrow, but however, we still have to play the game. And, and we are, like I said, yeah, these are basically, we're getting numbers on past behaviors of a team, of actually 2 teams. However, come tomorrow, their behavior could be drastically different than what it was when they played each other 2 times in the past. And so we're going to take a look at, I just wanted to look, just to prove that basically we're not just just taking numbers out of the sky and just, kind of adding and subtracting it together, and then using it to rank teams, and then making claims that, it means something. And so that's what this last slide here basically is. As you see here, we graphed the PIE versus the win percentage on the right, and it's kind of similar. It kind of shows what we saw on the table, as if you notice here, as the as the PIE moves over to the right, the win percentage goes up, right? Or as the win percentage goes up, the PIE actually moves over to the right. And, or another way you can say it, as the win percentage goes up, so the PIE also goes up. And so as you see, the data is going up and to the right. And so there is a positive relationship between both of those. There's a clear positive relationship between both of those numbers, which is the PIE and the win percentage. And so the next one was the PIE with the defensive factor and the win percentage. And this one actually, if you notice here, this one actually this one looks a lot better, right? The one on the left is a little clustered, although there is a clear trend there. All the data is kind of a little clustered, but this one to the right, there's not too much clustering that's going on. It's clear. There's like a clear trend. It goes from like the left corner of the graph, the left bottom corner of the graph. The data goes from the left bottom corner of the graph and is moving up and to the right, to the top right corner of the graph. And so it just shows there is a clear relationship there's a tighter relationship between PIE with the defensive factor and win percentage than there is with win percentage and PIE. So the one to the right, the PIE with the defensive factor, is a much better predictor of a team's ability to win ball games over the course of the season. And so on top of that, at the bottom here, we're basically doing a correlation test to kind of test that table, like those two lists of data, those two data sets that we have. And so, of course, to the left, if you show the one to the left, which is win percentage and PIE, as you see, it's 0.769. And if you look at win percentage and PIE with defensive factor, that one is 0.926. So the one to the right is higher. That means it has a stronger relationship. There's a stronger relationship with win percentage. PIE and defensive factor has a stronger relationship with win percentage than win percentage with regular PIE. And so that's pretty much what I have. This was a pretty fairly easy, simple breakdown. The New York Knicks are supposed to be clearly a better team than the Detroit Pistons. The head-to-head matchups, and you look at the data on the head-to-head matchup, the New York Knicks clearly are a better team. And when you also look at basically, when you use the player impact estimate, and also the player impact estimate with defensive factor, and compare compare with the rest of the league, and also compare against these two teams, it also shows that the New York Knicks are actually clearly a better team than the Detroit Pistons. And so, let me know what you guys think. Who do you guys think win the game tomorrow afternoon, Sunday, 3:30 p.m. Just comment below, like, and subscribe. Let me know what you think. And hope you guys enjoy the game. Talk to you guys soon.